Today our topic is the Stoic strategy for dealing with enemies. Life is full of challenges, and one of the hardest challenges we face is dealing with people who seem to be against us. These people could be coworkers, neighbors, family members, or even strangers. They might criticize us, spread rumors, or try to make our lives difficult. When this happens, it's natural to feel angry, hurt, or frustrated. But the Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca taught us a better way to handle these situations. They believe that the way we respond to our enemies says more about us than it does about them. The Stoic strategy for dealing with enemies is not about fighting back or seeking revenge. Instead, it's about understanding self-control and finding peace within ourselves. Let's explore this strategy step by step. First, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control our own reactions. This is one of the most important lessons in Stoicism. When someone acts against us, our first instinct might be to react with anger or frustration. But the Stoics teach us to pause and think before we act. Ask yourself, why is this person acting this way? What is really going on here? Often, people who act like enemies are struggling with their own problems. They might be insecure, jealous, or unhappy. Their actions are not really about you. They are about their own inner struggles. When you understand this, it becomes easier to stay calm and not take their behavior personally. Second, the Stoics teach us to focus on our own character and values. Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." What does this mean? It means that when someone treats you badly, you should not lower yourself to their level. Instead, you should rise above the situation by acting with kindness, integrity, and strength. If someone insults you, don't insult them back. If someone spreads rumors about you, don't spread rumors about them. By staying true to your values, you show that their actions cannot shake you. This is not always easy, but it is powerful. When you act with dignity, you take away their power to hurt you. Third, the Stoics encourage us to see our enemies as teachers. This might sound strange, but think about it. Our enemies can teach us important lessons about patience, resilience, and self-control. They can also help us see our own weaknesses. For example, if someone's criticism makes you angry, it might be because there is some truth in what they are saying. Instead of getting defensive, use their criticism as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Ask yourself, is there something I can learn from this situation? How can I become a better person because of this challenge? When you see your enemies as teachers, you turn a negative situation into a positive opportunity for growth. Fourth, the Stoics remind us that we are all part of the same human family. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about this idea. He said that even when people act against us, we should remember that they are still human beings, just like us. They have their own fears, dreams, and struggles. When you see your enemy as a fellow human being, it becomes harder to hate them. Instead of seeing them as a threat, try to understand their perspective. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them or become their friend, but it does mean you can treat them with compassion. Compassion doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you recognize their humanity and choose to respond with kindness rather than hatred. Fifth, the Stoics teach us to let go of the need for revenge. Revenge might feel satisfying in the moment, but it rarely solves anything. In fact, it often makes things worse. When you seek revenge, you give your enemy power over you. You become obsessed with their actions, and this obsession can take over your life. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from letting go of the desire for revenge. Instead of trying to hurt your enemy, focus on living a good life. When you let go of the need for revenge, you take back control of your own happiness. Sixth, the Stoics remind us that time changes everything. The person who is your enemy today might not be your enemy tomorrow. People change, situations change, and life moves on. Instead of holding on to anger or resentment, try to let it go. Holding on to negative emotions only hurts you in the long run. The Stoics believed that we should focus on the present moment and not waste our energy on things we cannot change. If someone has wronged you, accept that it happened and move on. This doesn't mean you have to forget what they did, but it does mean you don't let it control your life. Seventh, the Stoics teach us to find strength in adversity. Dealing with enemies is never easy, but it can make you stronger. When you face challenges, you learn how to handle difficult situations. You develop resilience, patience, and inner strength. Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that the obstacles we face in life are not just problems to be solved. They are opportunities to grow. When you face an enemy, don't see it as a setback. See it as a chance to become a better, stronger person. Eighth, the Stoics encourage us to focus on what we can control. We cannot control how other people act, but we can control how we respond. We can control our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. When you focus on what you can control, you take back power over your life. Instead of worrying about what your enemy is doing, focus on being the best version of yourself. Live with integrity, kindness, and courage. When you do this, you take away your enemy's power to hurt you. Ninth, the Stoics remind us that life is short. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the shortness of life and the importance of using our time wisely. When you spend your time worrying about your enemies, you waste precious moments that could be spent on things that truly matter. Instead of focusing on your enemies, focus on your goals, your relationships, and your own happiness. Life is too short to let other people's actions control your emotions. Finally, the Stoics teach us to find peace within ourselves. No matter what happens in the outside world, we can always find peace in our own minds. This is the ultimate goal of Stoicism, to achieve inner peace and tranquility. When you learn to control your thoughts and emotions, you become free from the influence of others. Your enemies can no longer hurt you because you have found a deeper sense of peace within yourself. In conclusion, the Stoic strategy for dealing with enemies is not about fighting back or seeking revenge. It's about understanding, self-control, and finding peace within ourselves. When someone acts against us, we should pause and think before we react. We should focus on our own character and values and rise above the situation. We should see our enemies as teachers and learn from the challenges they bring. We should remember that we are all part of the same human family and treat others with compassion. We should let go of the need for revenge and focus on living a good life. We should accept that time changes everything and not hold on to anger or resentment. We should find strength in adversity and see obstacles as opportunities to grow. We should focus on what we can control and not waste our time worrying about things we cannot change. We should remember that life is short and use our time wisely. And finally, we should find peace within ourselves, no matter what happens in the outside world. By following these Stoic principles, we can handle our enemies with grace and dignity and live a life of inner peace and fulfillment.